Hi there, I'm Adam Kirbas and this is my novel Night Out. So far, I'm taping in the dark in this case. Ally Fauna was killed in cold blood. So this is one fact we have established. But who is the murderer? Who killed her? And I don't still know the motive. Why would anyone kill her? There are conflicting stories about Ally Fauna's life, how she was and how she was perceived. It could be as well that there was a misunderstanding. Someone thought about her badly. Someone assumed that she would have this and that kind of attitude. And therefore maybe thought that he or she would do the world a favor. There are some people who think that way. I decided to join the funeral ceremony of Ally Fauna because on funerals you may get insight in family mechanism, who plays which role, but as well as that it is very likely that the murderer who killed Ally Fauna out of any motive whatsoever will probably attend the funeral. This is very common for murderers to attend not only the crime scene but as well as the victim after their death, as if the victim, despite their being dead, would still linger in their bodies, would still live on in their material shape. So I thought maybe the killer will attend the funeral. The funeral was well attended. Sherry, Ally Fauna's mother, she was the center of all attention. People probably joined or attended the funeral, decided to pay their respects because of Sherry, because of Dinah. Mostly I see her customers from the Dinah, the old generation who still cling on to this form of friendship, close bond where people meet each other in person. Sherry is deeply rocked. She has lost a child. This is not an easy thing to do, and it is the second time she has to mourn a loss. She's devastated. One can see how the life has been sucked out of her eyes, drop by drop. Her tears are pouring down her cheeks. These are the mourns of a mother. Many pay and express their condolences to Sherry. She is a very courageous woman. She tries to give herself and the people around her comfort. Thank you, Isa. Then I see that there are, as well as some of Ally's former friends from college. I see Francine Henry, who told me about Ally, who told me about that Ally was not quite into men. What was she like? Which sexual preferences did she have? Which sexual orientation did she have? Did she follow? Francine told me she actually didn't see Ellie ever with a boyfriend. Was she frigid? But that she put makeup on and was willing to leave for somewhere in the middle of the night, changed her dress. Maybe she found someone, but who was this someone? Someone he called on a prepaid phone. Someone who is not, or who cannot be traced. Secrecy. Maybe it was a celebrity, and this celebrity, because of his celebrity fame, helped her to overcome her predispositions with sexual attraction, maybe. And I see Lydia John, as well as Melinda Abbott and Tom Weil. Normally they are in remand. They are awaiting trial because of identity fraud, but they probably got free. They probably were allowed to attend the funeral. Their attorney or legal counsel probably gave them or advised them to be seen on Ellie's funeral. There is a lot at stake there. They want to be perceived as if they would have been Ellie's friend, as if it would have been a trifle that they stole her identity. Well, only for themselves. They did it for themselves. Lydia sees me. She eyes me. But she is mortified. She looks away immediately and glances fleetingly at all the guests who came here to mourn a young woman. A young woman, as it seems, no one really knew, or who maybe was smart enough to show people different aspects of her character. Well, in our time, in our society, is actually smart, and especially as a woman, you always have to be careful. I don't see John and Deacon Lloyd from the ad agency Ally Fauna worked at. Only Brianna Phelps appeared. They were close. Ally entrusted her personal life, and she even admitted that Ally met someone, but Ally did not tell her whom. Secretive. Why? Who was this person Ally met? Maybe she discovered lately that she was actually a lesbian. Homosexuals, these things happen. Well, I'm not quite sure when, if Ally would have come out as a homosexual, whether Sherry would have opposed it, or the community Ally grew up with. There are people, a lot of them, who have deep respect and devotion for Sherry. Sherry, the strong woman who succeeded in surviving even after her husband died of cancer. This strong woman who could raise 2 daughters and send one of them to college. And Brianna's mourns are genius. She's the only person, as it seems, to have joined the funeral from the ad agency. I look around and I see Donna Fauna, the twin sister of Ally, who was not as successful as Ally, who did not have the wits or the willingness to attend college, who were left behind. And this is very common indeed among siblings, but as well as among twins. No matter how objective a parent is, every parent has a favorite child, and especially when there are more than one child, then this favor is vivid, is perceivable for all other siblings. And things are even worse when they are twins, because there is always one good twin and always one bad twin. Even though the differences in character are not striking or are minimal, people will make the difference. Why? To keep twins apart. They will bestow certain character trends or proclivities to each twin in order to separate them in their minds, because this is some weird situation you are in if there are two people who share the same family name, who look alike. You have to set them apart somehow in order to make sense, in order to give each of these two twins their uniqueness. This is what we have learned. Individuality. It matters whom you speak with, whom you talk to. And it is understandable that Donna, who was not as successful as Ally, and who still is not as successful as Ally, who had to work in the diner while Ally went out into the big world. And this is many often perceived by many young folks who have this urge, this willingness and keenness to go out, see the world, as if it would be something innate, as if it would be something in the genetics of young folks that they have to go out, go on a journey, see the world, become or mature through this journey. Many cultures make it even mandatory that the male, this is always about the man, and that young males go out and make a living for themselves, find their footing in the world, their places in the community, grow up, mature, and then come back sophisticated, even sometimes prodigious, and see the world, how it works. And this is indeed something young folks toy with. This is associated with young folks, and not that you work in the same diner your mother has been working for years, or in the same diner you grew up with, because Sherry most certainly did not have time to cook or prepare breakfast for their two children, and they lived above the diner. So since her childhood, Donna knows this diner by heart. And how did she probably feel when she later took over, had to work there? Of course, it wouldn't have mattered if Donna would have been an only child. Then people wouldn't have seen the difference represented by Ally Fauna, the difference what is possible And this is the cruel part. This is the menacing part of it all, that Donna most certainly was compared to Ally, constantly compared to Ally, being seen in this different, being seen through minus. What is Donna lacking? This is how she was identified. This is how people kept apart those twins. One of them is smart and the other is not, lacks it, is stupid. And many people sometimes assume that twins that it would be unnatural, and that the female womb would not have been or wouldn't have been made for maintaining two babies, two fetuses at the same time. So eventually that one of them must lack something, probably didn't even develop properly. And Donna probably grew up in that. Her lifestyle proves it. She avoided to be around Ally. She avoided to compete with Ally openly. She was thwarted by her, dwarfed by her, like Lydia, as well as Melinda, Ally's wits. And even though Ally may have been humble, down to earth, but the sheer presence of her, that she attended college, and even though you might feel uncomfortable, or even though Ally might have understood that people get jealous and envious of her, even though she might have avoided being condescending, and being condescending would have already meant that you emphasize that you went to college, that you saw a different side or a different shape of the world. However, still she had these experiences. Ally went to college. She met people there, and as well as she studied there. She allocated informations from college. She saw the world from the perspective of a college graduate, and this is in every conversation you have, what you talk about, your political affiliation. These are things you can hardly switch off. Even though if you try to slacken your impact on your surroundings, making yourself more likable, making yourself more applicable to the current environment. But one question is unanswered though. Why didn't Ally sleep at home? Why didn't Ally attend college from her home? Why did she move in with people who did not have the same social background? Wouldn't it have been clear that these people eventually would grow hostile to Ally? It is not quite understandable, even an erratic behavior, one might assume. So what was Ally up after? And again, this thing circles around one question: what was Ally like? Was she amicable? Was she a good nature, someone whom you could get along with? Was she cordial? Was she nice, polite? Or was she arrogant, condescending? why did she need all these fancy clothes? Or why was she so self-assured that she bought herself a new car despite the fact that she only started recently in the ad agency, and as it turns out, she was not very much liked, especially by the men, and if she wanted to ensure her ascending the social ladder, she probably should have noticed it or would have played safe, secure. It is not likely that women climb this social ladder very fast, quite the contrary. And in addition, Ally was attractive. She must have known that she is attractive, and she must have known that she had a certain effect on her environment, that man in power, especially in the ad agency, probably wanted to have her like you want to have a jewel, like something you want to adorn, like you want to adorn yourself with. And Ally was probably considered an object of prestige for a man, prestige that would show their potency to the people around them. This is what men probably collect beautiful women for. So there are a lot of questions, a lot of strings you could follow, which may lead to the killer. Yet there is still one possibility as well, that it was just a random robbery, that someone came along, wanted to have some money, wanted to get some money. He was nervous. Could be that this was the first time this person robbed someone. Nervous. His or her hands were shaking. This is not easy to rob someone, to point a gun at someone. You need nerves of steel. And this person probably lost it, got too nervous, was quavering and tittering, was afraid that someone might see him. And especially if it's the first time, you still think and fear of being caught. And you fear the law and punishment. So maybe the trigger was pulled inadvertently, and the robber who had intended to rob her got scared and ran away. Maybe. So there are a lot of possibilities. I look around and I see that Donna moves away from Sherry, moves away from the center of the crowd, and she meets with a man who is clothed in dark, a mysterious man, and who seems to have dyed his hair blonde. She converses with him, she debates with him. I wonder what is so important, or what is so disturbing, that they are, through their body language and their gestures, engaged in a vivid debate. I cannot hear what they are talking about, but it looks like very important. It seems that way. I make a photo of this man surreptitiously. He has caught my eye. Something is off of him, and Donna seems to be thoughtful. Yet she says something, looks around. She stares and glares around suspiciously. And then at once, this blonde mysterious man and Donna Fauna cease debating, and they stare at someone. A tall black man. He's the only black man. He's the only black person on the funeral. He has caught everyone's attention, mostly because he's black. And the local community, as well as in the diner of Sheriff Fauna, I didn't see any black people, black folks, mostly, especially when they live in small rural areas. They rather keep together. They do not attend public gatherings of white folks. However, one might have mistaken the black man for an employee of the undertaker, that he happened to be there by chance. But I saw that he was shedding tears, and these were genuine tears. And he sheds these tears for Ally. These are not tears of a good friend or a mere acquaintance. These are tears of deep connection, of someone who mourns a loss. And I see that Donna and this mysterious man who dyed his hair blonde, that they stare at this black man with contempt. I perceive that the man with the dyed blonde hair clenches his fists, as if he would be asking himself, what is this man doing here? And the black man has even caught Sheriff Fauna's attention for a while. And she's like the mother who tries to grasp at every string, because she didn't quite know Ally. Ally some sort of went astray, went far beyond when she left for college. For Donna, Ally changed after she went to college. Donna told me she was different. Ally wasn't even willing to meet with Donna. This left deep scars. And it's another indication that Ally probably broke with her family, or did not keep a close bond with them anymore. After a while, Sherry again falls back in her bitter sobs and bitter mourns. The priest speaks his blessings, and Ally is being hoisted down into her grave, and earth is thrown upon her, and a life has ended. She will not come back, irrevocably destroyed. And it happened just in about seconds, and it was all gone. the funeral guests, they disperse. It is a bleak situation. Something which reminds people how fast it can happen. That you can be brought down without your knowledge or without your doing fate. This is what they call it. Most people call it fate, which lurks around the corner, which may jump on you. You may have made plans for the future. You may have had a wish, an idea, a goal, a destination you always wanted to be, or where you wanted to be accomplished, and then it was all robbed of you, and you are put down to earth with all your dreams and all your secrets, all your feelings, joy, happiness. You take with you in to your grave. After the funeral ceremony, I make some inquiries of this mysterious man with the dyed blonde hair. There was something off of him, and I find out that the man's name is Stolt Malign, and he is the leader of a racist far-right group which calls itself the White Banner. Now I'm curious, why would the leader of a racist far-right group attend the funeral? And it was obvious that Donna Fauna, Ally's twin sister, knew Stolt Malign. Now I'm tipped off. What is the nature of their relationship? I make some research about the far-right racist group, the White Banner. And as it appears, they are deeply engulfed in a conspiracy theory, namely that the white race, that the white American race would be predestined to be wiped out and superseded by inferior migrant races. There is even a home page of this, the White Banner. So it was not taken down. The home page is in the net. It is accessible for everyone. And on this home page, this racist group assumes that the reason and the cause why America would be independent would be self-sufficient, and the leader of the world would be because it was always led by white people, because it was established by white people, and that the world would fear the supremacy of white people. America would be the pinnacle of white supremacy, and that the world would have decided to bring down white supremacy. And as long as America is strong and led by white people, as long there would be order in the world. But once America ceases to exist and this white racist group advocates that it would cease to exist once America would not be built on the foundation of whiteness, then the world and America would be doomed. And what they want everyone and every of their members is to stop the secret and surreptitious conquest of whiteness in America. This is what they write in their homepage. And that there would be a lot at stake. That there would be the future of the white race at stake. Well, these statements, firstly, one is still speechless that you will find such a homepage still in the web. And what these people claim, this is pretty much brazen. Brazen in that sense that normally or other white supremacist groups, they do not make it conspicuous to everyone what they really want. This is not very smart in that sense. Normally, a white supremacy group will try everything not to appear racist, not to appear as if one would see a difference between the races, and many white supremacist groups actually maintain such a public persona that they would be open to everyone. Some white supremacist groups even admit migrants, blacks, solely for their purpose of being perceived as not racist, despite the fact that most of them do believe that there is an innate difference between the races. So I wonder why is Stolt malign and this white supremacist group, why are they involved with Ally Fauna? It is likely that Donna, as this black sheep in the family, tried to elevate herself, tried to free herself, and that she suffered a lot in the shadow of Ally Fauna and tried to make up for it, tried to make up for the constant disappointments. And it was probably even shocking for her that she, as the white woman who is supposed to lead society, because this is as well as how some white people are brought up with or brought up in, that they would be special, and because that they are special, they would have to be able to take charge of the society, that they would lead society, and that their goal would be to be the leaders of the society. But then they fail. They are not able to accomplish, or they cannot surmount a barrier which originally should have proven that they are smart and that they would have all the abilities to lead society. A barrier like education, college, the educational system, which stamped them as insufficient, as not being able to accomplish what is demanded from them. And then migrants, as well as blacks who are being considered inferior by white supremacists, when these migrants then manage to go through this school system successfully, and this is rare because most black folks actually struggle through school because they have different starting points. They have handicaps to deal with, problems they have to overcome come. And this is way more different when you start from a different or difficult stance, when you have to commence your life from the point of being handicapped. However, but they then become a threat for these white people who were brought up to lead society. So it might be natural from that point why Donna went far right, or why she has a connection to this far right group. And I see that there is an announcement. It's not even secret, as if this white racist far right group doesn't even care about being attacked or being marked or being stopped. They announce brazenly that they are holding a meeting. It is tonight. A meeting where apparently Stolt Malign will talk as well, talk about the problems. I decide to attend the meeting because more and more I get a hunch what might have happened there. The meeting takes place in a run-down seedy bar. It is somewhere behind the bar. The bar is some sort of an entry where people are probably selected or being scrutinized, and who then later on are being allowed or not allowed, banned from entering the meeting, which seems to be behind the bar, a little hall. I look around in the bar. It is through and through a white supremacist bar. The moment I enter, all eyes are on me. I'm white, but I'm a stranger to these people. Here you can see this is a different world. Here they have to be aware. Here they stare at every stranger, at every threat. It seems like that they have built themselves some sort of a home, a shelter which is apart from all reality, with the intention of maintaining the world they believe in. The bar is filthy, as if no one has ever cleaned it properly. I'm stared at. I ask the barkeeper that I'm here for Stolt Malign. He stares at me suspiciously. He scrutinizes my attire, obviously, despite the fact that I'm wearing casual clothes. It seems like that I'm overdressed for this. I've never attended any far-right meetings, so I don't know what the wear is. I thought if you dress casually, they think not. They won't perceive you as a hipster or whatever they call others, affluent people for that matter. However, it appears that this is probably a small group, and that the listeners of Stolt Malign are probably always the same people, and that you probably only have access to this group through recommendation. He asks me whether I have an appointment. I say no, I was just curious. I came here from far away and just passing by. He asks me whether I'm a cop or a reporter. I say nothing of that kind. It is clear you don't say it. It is clear that you would be stupid if you would confess that you are law enforcement or a private detective. So it is smart to negate this answer and just say that you are a curious citizen who wanna find out about the world more. He looks at me still suspiciously. Then 2 guys approach me. They pat me up and down whether I have any guns or a mic or whatever. Then the barkeeper nods and says that the meeting will start in half an hour and asks me what I want to have for drink. I said beer, hoping that this was not a mistake, but still I think there must be some sort of a secret password or pass code these far-right groups have, which you should know or which only insiders know. But nothing of that kind. I am not asked for a passcode. Rather, I more and more realize that even of the initial suspicion, these people are actually flattered that someone from a different area or a different part of the country is willing to attend one of their meetings. It may be as if they would have succeeded to going global. Many far-right groups want to extend their reach, not only to have more influence, but as well as to get and gain well-paying supporters. And many far-right groups try to get into those, try to bring in those politicians or groups which they can use and influence, which then make a dent in politics, get the groups more attention. After I've drunk my beer, I follow a flock of people into the back. I still feel uncomfortable because who knows, maybe they only play along, and once the door behind me is closed, who knows what they might do with me. More and more I realize that I came here without a backup, and I hope that I may, through my casual wear and unassuming appearance, might be considered as harmless, as someone whom you do not have to threat, and in conclusion, whom you do not have to hurt or do whatever thing you think fits. So I'm still wary. The door opened, but then I see in the warehouse, part of the bar, that there are some chairs. There is a pedestal where someone will later supposedly speak. And I take a seat. People around me still eyeing me. I'm the new one. Some of them are smiling. Some are nodding. More and more I realize these people, they are rather flattered. They probably do not see newcomers quite often. And I assume that this group probably grew up, or most of these groups are either related to each other or they grew up together. That this group there, it has probably created itself through friends. That this bond in the group exists not through ideology, but rather through friendship or the same social background. So the group has not rooted in that sense. It has not rooted outside their social class, which is in a way soothing. This means this group has not a far reach so far. But still I think about Ally Fauna and how her murder, her killing is connected to it, or is it ever connected to it? Then after a while, Stolt malign enters. He scrutinizes everyone in the group. His dyed hair, which now through the light appears to be a cheap blonde hair color he probably bought in the local supermarket. He immediately eyes me, and his eyes have immediately caught mine. He stares at me for a while. He's not sure what he has to do. He asks one of his friends, points with his head towards me. I assume that he asked him, who is that guy? But they seem to have soothing words for him. So they are unaware, oblivious. And I'm still surprised how easy it actually would be to infiltrate this group, to just attend their meetings. And I again remember myself about the brazen homepage they have, so that they are not matured, or they haven't matured enough, that they brazenly advocate or emphasize racism, white supremacy on their homepage. So they have not quite, or they haven't adapted to the fine tunes of politics, where you have to be very careful what you say and what you express. Then Stolt Malign starts talking. He talks about responsibility, and that whiteness and being white would come with a responsibility, and that everyone has to be aware of his race, and that everyone has to act according to his race, has to maintain racial purity. And he brings forth the argument that in the future, men like them, they will make this new country, because they are strong, no matter what the society says to them. This is a very important part. This is always how many those far-right speeches can garner so many supporters, because they speak to those fringe groups, mostly men who are struggling to find a place in the society, or who have been left out in the society for whatever reason. And Stolt malign, despite the fact he talks just to his friends, and despite the fact that this group has not matured enough or has not reached out so far, Stolt Malign still seems to have gathered a lot of information as well as skills how to convey his information. Despite the fact that this group, this far-right group, seems to be in an initial process of becoming a white supremacist movement, Stolt Malign seems to be a very sophisticated speaker and a very capable one. And he speaks about what it is, whiteness, why whiteness is so important, and why people want to bring down whiteness, why they want to take over America, want to subjugate America. And these all are striking words. It seems that Stolt Malign knows exactly which part he has to hit, which part in the emotions of the people he has to hit in order to swoon them, in order to convince them and draw their attention to its cause or to himself. After the speech has ended, everyone cheers and applauds Stolt Malign. This was a deeply disturbing and a deeply racist speech, yet it was very, very good said. It was very good conveyed and structured, as if Stolt Malign practiced a lot on how to become an excellent speaker. And I see among the audience as well as Donna Fauna, she's clapping and praising Stolt Malign, and our gazes meet. Donna Fauna is for a moment thoughtful. She looks at Stolt. What is this all about? Why is he here? And she feels somehow uncomfortable. And I think immediately of Ally Fauna. How did she fit in this? In all of this?